Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to be comparing the two new Dragon's Teeth pistols. That is the Desert Eagle and the Unica 6. Both of them have very similar damage models. They're capable of one-shotting people in close range when you headshot them, and they just do massive damage in general. They are precision weapons though. You can't spam fire these quite like you could with some of the 25 damage model weapons. Let's start off with the Desert Eagle, an Israeli-made pistol that shoots an incredibly high-powered round. This is the pistol from the Matrix that all the agents use. It is a massive freaking pistol and it does huge damage. As far as damage model goes, it's very similar to the 44 Magnum that's already in the game, but what's really special about this is that there's no trigger delay like the 44 Magnum, so you don't have to do weird time shots as somebody's running past you. This shoots instantaneously when you pull the trigger. And in addition to that, it actually carries 2 more rounds in the magazine. The Magnum carries 6 rounds, this carries 8, and you can even put 1 in the chamber for a total of 9. So you have a much higher damage potential with this weapon, and I've definitely gone through at least 3 enemies on just 1 magazine. Now the thing that sets this gun apart from something like the Magnum is that it doesn't quite have the same aiming down sight accuracy. It has a 0.25 aiming down sight accuracy, while the Magnum has a 0.1 aiming down sight accuracy. But overall, because you're not going to really want to use either of these pistols at extreme long ranges, the accuracy is really not going to be that big of a factor. And when I did actually have to try and snipe somebody at medium to medium long range, it was still shooting pretty much on target. So the accuracy has not been an issue for this weapon. In my opinion, it is 100% superior to the 44 Magnum. And once Dragon's Teeth comes out, there's going to be very little reason to actually use the 44 Magnum unless you really like using that 3x optic that you can put on it. Now speaking of attachments, the Desert Eagle has a decent hipfire accuracy, so I like to put a laser sight on here to deal with targets in close range. It's actually very effective at hip firing people in close quarters. That 2-shot kill in close range is just unbeatable, and it will surprise a lot of your opponents. Now for testing purposes, I was not able to get into a pistols only server. I have a very limited selection when it comes to the CTE build of this game, so I'm going up against guys using the Bulldog assault rifle and other high powered weapons that are just going to make quick work of anybody using any pistol regardless of how good that pistol is. But even so, the Deagle was able to hold its own in most situations, and I gotta say this is really runner up for the best pistol in the game. The damage potential in close quarters is just unbeatable, and the actual damage potential per magazine is just crazy. In theory, if you were to hit everybody in the head and you're shooting in close quarters, you could get up to 9 kills per magazine, which is just kind of crazy to think about. I wouldn't be surprised seeing some nuts clips out there of watching people getting 4 or 5 kills with 1 magazine from a Deagle. It's going to be awesome when this gun finally comes out in Dragon's Teeth. Now as far as tactics go for running this gun, I highly recommend the laser sight for improving that hipfire accuracy. I also recommend trying to stand still while shooting this gun. It can be okay while on the move, but honestly you're going to get the best aiming down sight accuracy while you're standing still, and it's going to make a big difference in trying to hit targets. If you absolutely have to side strafe to try and stay alive, side strafe a little, stop and shoot, side strafe a little more, stop and shoot. So basically touch and go tactics when firing this pistol will get you the best results. It also has a fairly impressive rate of fire of 220 rounds per minute, but I would not recommend shooting this gun as fast as possible as you are going to lose your accuracy potential. So save your fastest fire rate for close quarter spammy situations where you just have to get off as many rounds as possible, or you're shooting into a crowd and you just need to land a few shots here or there. Otherwise, if you're trying to drop people at range with accurate, precise shots, make sure to take your time in between each shot for maximum effectiveness. Now how about this other powerhouse of a pistol that's coming out in Dragon's Teeth and is currently available in the CTE? This is the Unica 6. It's also known as the Metaba in real life, and it is a very unique revolver. As you can see from the design, it is clearly a revolver, but what's special about it is that unlike traditional revolvers, this can be fired as a single action pistol. So basically the reason why they put a delay on the 44 Magnum in this game is because it's double action. You pull the trigger, it pulls the hammer back, and then the hammer flies forward, hits the round, sending it forward, and that's where you get the delay because you're waiting for the hammer to come all the way back. This, however, when you fire a round, it auto-cocks the hammer for you. It's one of the few revolvers in the world that can actually do this, and thus in-game it is rewarded by having an instantaneous trigger pull, so you don't get that 44 Magnum delay. Now how does it compare to the Desert Eagle? We've just gone over how the Deagle is incredible. It's got a very big magazine, it does massive damage. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't really compare too well. It does share the extremely high damage value of 56 maximum, which is going to allow you to one-shot headshot kill anybody in close quarters. That's it's actually a little bit longer than 15 meters at which you can actually one-shot headshot somebody. I think it's actually about 20 meters with this, so that's great. It has a slightly better aiming down sight accuracy, and its bullet velocity is slightly faster than the Magnum, although these things for the most part are not that big a factor in actually calculating its overall effectiveness. It also has less recoil than the Magnum too, although not by much, and frankly you're going to still want to take a little bit of time in between each of your shots with this gun, because these are precision weapons, and especially with the Unica 6 where you only have 6 rounds, you gotta make sure you use them wisely. So you could say the Unica 6 has slightly better accuracy than the Deagle, it's got slightly less recoil, but overall it's not enough to really make up for the fact that the Deagle has that massive magazine capacity. There's very few things to compete with that, on top of which the Unica 6 has a very long reload time of 4.1 seconds. That's a little bit crazy. I mean, I realize you're reloading a 6-shooter, but compared to a Deagle that's already reloading 2 additional rounds at 2.75 seconds, it's just a really big slap in the face to anybody really trying to do well with the Unica 6. In fact, the only way I can really recommend the Unica 6 over the Desert Eagle is if you are an amazing shot, like you just don't miss your shots, you hit your headshots all the time. In that case, the Unica 6 is going to have better accuracy for you, and you can probably make better use out of this weapon. It's going to be a skill cannon without question, whereas the Deagle is a little bit more spammy. In both situations, you're going to need a pretty high skill level to do well with the pistols, and you can't really spam fire them as effectively. Regardless, they're actually both really good pistols compared to what's currently available in-game, and if you actually like the Magnum or the SW40, I think you're really going to like both of these pistols. I can't wait to try them out in the full Dragon's Teeth release, and as always guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.